Hi there. So I had a dream a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just going to paint you a story telling you about that particular dream. And it was a lucid dream. So if you're not familiar with what a lucid dream is, it's something that you participate in. It's like you're the director of a play, and it all kind of unfolds, and you're a part of it. And I remember those dreams a lot more because it's just something that's much more vivid to me. And this one made a lot of sense. Even at the time when I was dreaming it, I knew what was going on within the dream and why I was dreaming it. So I was in this kind of, it was a dark night, like let's say it was a moonless night, kind of like a night where there's a new moon, but there was no starlight either. It was completely dark, except there was a house across the street from me that was like a Tudor style house. You know, it was a little red brick Tudor style house. They have those really deep peaked roofs like this. And every edge of that house, every window, every French door, the edges of the house, the roof line around the porch, over the awning that was over the porch, around the chimney, was all lined in golden white lights, kind of like these little lights right here. And as I took notice of this house, I was thinking, you know what? I'd like to sit inside that house, and I'd love to sit in a comfortable chair in front of the fireplace and read a good book and have a cup of hot cocoa. I could kind of see myself in that. It was just very inviting because it felt like home. And as I took greater notice of the house itself, I started noticing the trees on the property. And this was a great big property. It wasn't a neighborhood where there were other houses, but this was a great property with a lot of trees and a lot of bushes. And as I took notice of them, all the trees were lined in this golden white light. You know, these trees were great big maple trees, great big oak trees, all kinds of types of deciduous trees, really. And then there were gardens and flowers and bushes, all lined with golden white light. And then I started taking notice of animals that will come in. And I noticed animals that are real part of the world where I live here in the United States. So there were squirrels and foxes and coyotes and bear, and there were deer and elk and antelope and moose. And then there were domestic animals like buffalo or bison rather, and cattle, and of course cats and dogs. But they were all lit up with golden light around their ears, on their tails, on their feet, on their hooves. And then people started walking in. And there were people of all ages and different sizes and different shapes. And everyone came in. The people all walked in, and they were all mixing among the animals, and everybody was getting along, and everything was fine. And it was as if it was a perfectly directed play, and I was the director. And then I looked down and I realized that my hands and my feet and everything of myself was also part of this luminescence, this energy. Because it wasn't like lights that you see on a house in the holidays that are lined up around the edges of the house. It was starlight. Because we're made of starlight. We're made of all things of the universe, are made of the elements, at least in this part of our universe, made of elements that come from the stars and the planets and the cosmos itself. But this was the starlight. We were all that, and everything was in perfect order. And even though everything else was moving, the little house just stayed still, but the trees were swaying in the breeze, and the animals were moving, and the flowers seemed to be, smiling. And the people all just seemed to be moving about, and we were all just coming about in peace and harmony and joy. Because that's the truth of what life really truly is, at the core of who we are, at the deepest parts of who we are. And I had this dream just a few days after what started in Europe, when we're all very much aware of what's going on there now. And no matter the darkness, you still hear the stories of people doing things to help each other and to be of service and to be fixing food and helping people and giving people shelter and animal shelter. The lights are shining brightly. And people all over the world are shining their lights. And people all over the world are coming together to say, let's hold hands in this. Let's stand in the truth of what it is we know to be true, to hold the greater good for the good of what we know on behalf of these people, on behalf of their country. And so I always ask myself what it is that I can do. We can always give to organizations of which support them. That's a good thing. But it goes even deeper. How can we do this within ourselves? How do we do this within our own neighborhoods, within our own communities, within our house our home, with the people of which we love so dearly, with our loved ones, with our families, with our animal families? How do we take care of our gardens? How do we do what it is we need to do to cultivate that depth and that light and that beauty and that grace and that love within ourselves? And we have to come back home to that. And I say we have to, but I just say, I know for myself, I need to do that every day. And I start my day with meditation. I do journaling. I read a lot of books that support, that greater sense of what it is I'm calling forth. So I journal, I talk to the grand overall design. I have conversations. Sometimes I'm in tears. Sometimes I'm talking about what is it I'm to do. This feels like I need to do more. And what I always hear is come back home to yourself. Come back home. Come back to the center place of who you are. And so this piece I've done behind me, I did in December. And it reminded me of, the darkness of the darkest time of year, but there's still all these bright lights around us, where we celebrate the good. We have these celebrations all over the world that time of year. So I'll hold it a little bit brighter so you can see it. Try to get it so the lights aren't shining on it so bright. But you can see all the little tiny dots here, the golden lights that I have painted in here. Everything is surrounded in golden lights. All the shapes here, all the gold within this. And here at the center is a Vesica Pisces. It's kind of a version of a Vesica Pisces where you have two circular pieces that come together, and at the center is this place where there's a joining of the two. And in that joining is you have two different points of view or two different sides, and you come together and you find the commonalities and you find the place of where harmony is and where peace lies and where you find those commonalities. And there's a great creativity in that center place. And so the way mandalas are done, you start with a centerpiece and then you extend it outwards and you go out. So you have, in mine is like the four directions, east and west and north and south. And then you have the other areas that extend from there. And I always try to do it in a way where the idea of it just extends out further and further and further. But everything is surrounded in golden light, which is the greater truth, which is love, which is peace, which is harmony. And we can join with others, just like this. Join with other people, come together to be in support or to understand that in this common place here in the middle is an understanding of where we come together. And this is what we hold for whenever there's a discrepancy or a challenge or an issue within our own center, within ourselves. When we can align with something greater within ourselves and bring it back into the horizontal plane of the earth. And right here at the center is our heart. It's our soul operating on a greater sense. And we know what to do. We know how to manage things when we come from love, when we come from peace, when we come from harmony. And that's where all of this resides. And there's so much more in that center place too, which I've extended to before in some understandings. But just come back home to yourself and whatever it is you need to do that. How do you do that? How do you welcome that back in? How do you love yourself enough to know that whatever you do and however you extend yourself out into the world, you bring the very best of yourself to that circumstance. And you can reach out across the world supporting in ways that you know that you are able to do. And you can also extend it and bring it back home to yourself in your neighborhoods, to your animal family, to the family, fixing a lovely meal for someone that you love. Loving yourself enough to get enough rest, loving yourself enough to get to take care of yourself. It's all part of the big plan. And it's all really very simple when it's all based in love. So taking a stand is some of the strongest things that we can do. Taking a stand and standing up for something, standing up for peace, standing up for harmony, standing up for love, standing with other people that are on behalf of that for other people who are unable to do that right now. We can do that in ways, and the energy of which we extend this is far more powerful than we have any idea. And so we can do this in a way that just is so tremendously powerful. If the all there is all there is, we are part of that all there is, right? So is everyone else. So is everything else. And we join in that through that energy of the all there is. And we extend it out through the greatest way that we know how. Through love, through peace, we take a stand. We say yes. And how amazing this is when we know this on behalf of others of which we're supporting, on behalf of ourselves, and how life just continues to expand in ways, and the light shines everywhere. You get these intuitive hits, you get these energetic ideas, you get these new ways of doing things, and all of a sudden you're lit up in ways that you never knew you could do before. And you start seeing the evidence of that. But even if you can't see the evidence, know how clearly important it is just to extend that love. Because then it's like a ripple effect. It just catches on and catches on and catches on and catches on. It just extends out. Send that love. Send that peace. Send that harmony. It all starts right here. And so I send you that love today. I send you that love. I send you that love. I extend you that love. And as Grandma used to say, love you bunches. Bye for now.